everybody. I want to start with this powerful idea by David Hellman, which say that customers don't think in channels, they think in moments. What does that mean? That historically, for years, companies, organizations have organized themselves in department to manage individual channels. So there was a department or a team that was responsible for sales in a physical channel, teams responsible for the online channel, team responsible for the mobile, and so on. But for customer, it doesn't really matter, no? You as a customer, you just know that you need something, and there are some moments that are where are comfortable for you, where you can place an order. And sometimes an order can also be placed using different moments. That's what Omni-Channel means. You can use different moments, different channels to place an order. And sometimes these moments can really be urgent. Imagine, for example, you are a car mechanic and you're working under a car. You have your gloves, you're wearing your gloves, you're handy dirt, and you realize that you need to buy an ABS sensor because the car has a broken ABS sensor. I mean, what should you do? You just should remove your gloves, clean your hands, go to the laptop, and place the order, and then continue back what you were doing. It would be great now if you could just use your voice to add the product to the cart and then continue what you are doing. And sometimes the moment can really be urgent and can be even, the possibility to place an order in the right moment can really be a lifesaver. And this is what actually happened to me just a few minutes before starting this presentation, and I prepared a short video so that you can have a look.
It's time to go.
Hey, Liferay, order a parachute.
Order submitted.
Got it.
$3:30, just in time.
Unfortunately, I had to start my speech a little bit earlier, so you might have realized that this is not a real video. Otherwise, probably all of you would have believed in me. So, of course, this is fake. AI now make magic. But really, what I want to show that can be some moments that can be urgent, and it can make a difference from a seller point of view to being able to place an order exactly when the customer needs to place an order. And for a customer, it can make a difference. Of course, if I couldn't be able to buy parachutes, I wouldn't be here. But I prepared a couple of other examples, probably more realistic ones, just to give an idea of how it can be useful to use different channels and just use a conversational channel to place orders. Here we start with a couple of examples in a normal business day for different people. For example, we have the car mechanic that we have seen before, but also maybe a laboratory chemist, which is handling some toxic products, and she don't want to stop what she's doing, and she can use her voice to place an order. Or a technician in the field that just realized that one relay is broken and he can just send a message, maybe with WhatsApp, to place an order. Or again, this lady working in a bar and there are big celebration for the final of the Champions League, so many fans, and she's running out of beer. What should we do? Should she do? She just, without stopping what she's doing, just use her voice to order 3 kegs of Lifeless Stout. But there are moments in everyday life of everybody, so not only when you're working, where you might want different way to place orders. So while cooking, you realize you're running out of olive oil, and you just use your voice to add 1 bottle of olive oil to the cart. Or you are driving, so there is an alert that you need to buy oil filter, and you can use your voice to place an order. Or again, there is a manager coming back home, and she just send a message in the subway. Imagine that sometimes in the subway that you don't always have a good internet connection, no? And if you try to load the page, maybe it goes low down, connection error. WhatsApp is kind of, or any messaging system maybe which is asynchronous. You just send a message. Maybe even if you don't have connection, as soon as the mobile get the connection, the message is sent, and you don't really need to care. Or last but not least, let's say you are just doing some outdoor activities and you can just use your smartwatch to place an order. I mean, this is just a couple of examples, but really it's there are endless use cases that can really benefit from being able to use conversational channel and in the different ways. So which are the challenges that omni-channel and conversational commerce try to solve? First of all, device proliferation. I think everybody of us has at least one computer, smartwatch. I think this is the minimum that everybody has, but there are smartwatch, smart speaker, appliances. There are so many touch points that can be used to place orders. And interface friction, what does it mean? Imagine you have a couple of suppliers, and every supplier maybe has different channels, the web, the mobile app, and every time you need to place an order, you need to think about what's the user UI, what's the path that bring you to the conversion, to the submission of the order. It would be great, no, if you can just use your natural language, just talk with someone or something, and say what you want to buy. And even for those shops that actually offer different communication channels, different way to place an orders, sometimes the user journeys are broken. What means that maybe it happens sometimes that I start adding maybe products to the cart on the website, and then I open the mobile app and I see that the cart is empty. Or you go in on the online shop, on the shop, and you see there's no history of your purchases. So all of this together really raise the bar of the expectation of customers. Everybody of us, basically every time I need to buy something or I need to reserve a room in an hotel, of course I look at the reviews, and everything below 8.5, I just ask myself, what's wrong with this hotel? Maybe they are dirty, there's something wrong, they are impolite, and just start reading the reviews. And this not only regarding hotels, but also if you need to do a purchase on Amazon or anywhere. And this basically means that expectations really are high today. And just I want to share another story that happened to me last month. I gave my car to the car mechanic, and when they gave me back the car, he told me, you will receive an email with a survey asking you to evaluate us. And be sure that if you want to give a positive feedback, you need to provide either 9 or 10, because anything below, we will be contacted by the headquarters asking us what went wrong. So now that we understand, hopefully, that being able to place order on multiple channels, and so what omni-channel commerce really, how omni-channel commerce help, a question: has anyone ever implemented an omni-channel or a conversational commerce with Liferay? Please raise your hands. I don't see any. Maybe that's impossible. Or maybe no? To answer this question, I want to show you a quick demo, and we will come back to this question later on. So just refreshing the page. What you see now, if anyone has never seen this page, is our Minium accelerator, which is bundled with the HANID XP. you can just create a commerce site, a B2B commerce site with just a few clicks. And Minimo is just selling car spare parts. So what we want to do now, let's say I have an Alexa device here with me. Let's try. Alexa, ask Liferay Commerce to add one ABS sensor.
Okay, I am adding the product to the cart.
So hopefully, if I refresh the page, just a sec, I just close the mic, otherwise it will start talking by itself. If I refresh the page, I should see something in the cart. No, that's not. Oh, come on, let me try again. Alexa, ask Liferay Commerce to add one ABS sensor.
I'm not quite sure how to help you with that.
Alexa, ask Liferay Commerce to add one ABS sensor.
Okay, I am adding the product to the cart.
Okay, I'm just muting again, and hopefully this time it works. Yeah, it did. So as you can see here, we have now one product to the cart. But what I also want to show you is that, continuing the journey, I finish working on the car and I'm going back home and I'll use my mobile. And then I'm in the subway and then my colleague called me and say, we need to buy brake pads. So what can I do? As I need brake pads. Finger crossed. Yeah, here it is. So it's the answer. It's okay, I found two kinds of brake pads. The brake pads, kind of description, the price, the product codes, link if I want to see the product description, and the premium braking pads, so a different one. So what we can do now is we can just answer, please, because even if it's AI, we need to be polite, add a premium one. Okay, so the premium braking pads have been successfully added to your carts. This is the recap. I can also double check what's in the carts now. Yeah, this is the recap. So basically, what I was saying about Omni-Channel, that if I go on the website again, which is this one, and I refresh the page, I can see that my cart now has two items, and I can either submit from here. So maybe imagine I finally go back home, and I want to double check that everything in the cart is correct, the proper quantities, the prices have been applied correctly, all the discount, the shipping address. I can just go click here and submit. Or in case it's just urgent, I can just submit from WhatsApp. So what you're doing now, again from here, I say submit. And what happened that my cart will be empty now because the order, yes, you see, has been submitted. And we see, this is the details of your order. It's Cavallo & Co., which is my fake company. My delivery billing address, shipping address, total amount of the order. And if I go back again on the website, I should see that cart is empty. And it is. And if I go my order history, I can see there is an order that has been placed just 1 minute ago. There is time zone difference. Yeah, and there it is. So I think now we can provide an answer. Is it possible to create a real omni-channel with Liferay? Is it solvable with Liferay? The answer is yes. But I think none of you should be surprised. We know Liferay is probably the most flexible platform ever, and you can do almost everything you want with Liferay. No? So you should not be surprised. But the real question is, how long did it take to implement? We are talking about integration with Alexa, WhatsApp, some AI to handle the messages. How would it take? Can we implement such a solution just using a low-code approach to speed up the developments? So let me show you a little bit how the solution of this demo has been built. So we have a modular solution which is powered by AI. And as the core of the solution, we have Liferay XP. So we are using Liferay Commerce, as we have seen, to handle the product catalog, to handle the prices. So for every account, now, on this environment, I only have 2 accounts, but you can have different prices per different customer, per different account, discounts, everything related to the cart, to add the cart, to the checkout. Everything is out of the box. There is no customization at all on the checkout flow. And then we are using objects. Object is the low-code tool to define your data model and also your business logic, but we will see later in detail. And on the other side of the screen, we have third parties. So we have Amazon services, we have WhatsApp, messaging service, and we have OpenAI. In the middle, we have client extensions. So client extensions are this powerful tool that allow us to build integration and build business logic or custom logic just living outside of Liferay. So we have implemented 3 client extensions. So 2 connect to 2 adapters, one for Alexa and one for WhatsApp. And the third one, just an AI agent, which is leveraging an LLM, in this case, OpenAI. And of course, the client extension need to talk with Liferay, and it will do this by using the headless API. So as said, this is a composable architecture. Composable in the way that you can easily add new senses. You can add new messaging channel. So we're seeing in action WhatsApp, and but I know that not every country has the same habits of using the same communication messaging application. I know some colleagues from West, they use much more, for example, SMS compared to WhatsApp. Or in the Eastern Europe, Viber probably is very more popular than WhatsApp, or any other, WeChat in China, or other Google Assistants. Now, we've done this demo with Alexa Echo Dot because it's the device that I own at home, but of course you can easily switch to other voice assistants, to Google Assistant, to Bixby, to Siri, or any other kind of integration you might think about, in-game or in-app, from an appliance, any kind of new channel you might think it can be easily integrated just to provide a new adapter. And also you can switch the brain. What it means? I said we are using OpenAI, just a basic LLM. I will show you later on just a quick snippet of the system message that we use for LLM. But you can easily switch, for example, from OpenAI to Google Gemini. It's just a configuration. You just change the endpoint and the model, and you don't need to do anything. Or Llama, I think, or Claude, probably you might need to write some codes. Or you might want to use some dedicated platforms and AI agents like Google Cloud Vertex or like IBM Watson and so on. Here we can see the flow of how we were able from sending a message to check the catalog, to place an order, and to get an answer back to the user. So imagine the user, that's me falling down in Madrid, and I send a message. What happened? The message is received by the messaging platform or the Alexa or WhatsApp in this case. What happened next? You can go on these platforms and you can configure a webhook. This means every time they receive a message, they will just forward the message or post the message to an URL that you can define. So I've configured this provider just to point to two client extensions that are exposing a web service. So the client extensions, so we have the adapter for WhatsApp, the adapter for Alexa, receive the message, and basically they just, it's just a fire and forget. So they receive the message and it just immediately ends. That's because if you think what comes next, and also if you remember in the demo that when I send a message to WhatsApp, it took some while to actually do the product. Why? And we will see it on. There are some steps that require time. So it's asynchronous. We receive the call and we then create a message. Message, it's a Liferay object. We will go in detail later about the data model of this application. And then on the object definition, we have defined an object action. What is an object action? It's the possibility to trigger specific logic when something occurs. I mean, it's not only this, but yes, just for the matter of this demo, we have an event-triggered action, which does what? Basically, this action invokes another client extension, which is the client extension responsible for the communication with the AI. So in this case, we have this AI agent. Even here, we are using an asynchronous approach. I mean that the client extension immediately returns. This is important because if you think that this might take 5 seconds, 6 seconds, you don't want to reserve resources for such a long time. So we just return, and then the client extension it's responsible for the communication with OpenAI in this case. It's using the completion API to send the body of the message received. Then the OpenAI just get back and there is a call to the tools, which are the function that we have defined on Liferay DXP. I mean, the headless endpoint that we want the agent to use. That can be search for a product, add the product to the cart, get the current cart, submit the order. I mean, I think I've defined only these 4. Of course, you can define as more as you can or as you need. The result is then sent back to the OpenAI, which prepare the answer message, which is then sent back to Liferay. And now we are creating a new message on Liferay, which triggers another object action. And in this case, this object action is triggering another client extension, so not the one for the AI, but the one that is responsible for the communication to the final user. So in this case, the client extension called the API exposed by the messaging provider, and then finally send a message to the user. Just a quick note, for the Alexa, we haven't actually implemented the entire flow. It just provides a standard answer. That's why I said I'm adding product to the cart without actually having added the product to the cart. So that maybe I should check the logs. Something happened and it couldn't really add the product to the cart. Why? That's basically because if you think WhatsApp is natively asynchronous communication. You send a message and you can receive an answer within 10 seconds, 30 seconds, 1 minute. It doesn't really care. Alexa is more synchronous way, that you give a command and you need to have an answer, actually it's within 8 seconds. If you are not able to provide an answer, the Alexa just will cut the conversation. So to make long story short, we just decided to have this quick answer, I'm adding, and then if anything bad happened, we could think about adding some notification. I was not able to add product to the cart, which I didn't do for this demo, but it's something that can be implemented. So, I want to show how I have configured the object and the client extension on my machine. So if you can switch again on the laptop, please. Yeah, here it is. So, first of all, I want to show you the data model, so the object definition that have been created for this demo. So here we have 2 folders. These are default, so all the system objects, and I've grouped all these objects for this application into this folder. It's just 2 objects. It's very, very basic, let me say, data model in this case. So we have, let me zoom out a little bit. No, maybe that's too much. Okay, let's start from this. This is basically the message. So every time I send a message to WhatsApp or every time I give a command to Alexa, what happens is that the adapter client extension just create an object message. And an object message has a contact ID, so it can be my mobile number, my Alexa ID, and then a channel. Let's say this message is coming from Alexa or from WhatsApp, because when I want to give an answer, I want to say, give an answer on the same channel where I received the request. The direction, so if it's an inbound or outbound, and the state, and we will see later on there are few states that were defined and that can be used basically to handle this asynchronous process. So when you receive a message and start processing the message, it's in the processing state, and when it's processed, it's in the processed state, or it can be in the error state. And there should be just, the body of the message, of course. And this is the required answer just because, as I said, for Alexa, we don't expect to have an answer. So we just say that every message with Alexa just say that does not require an answer. And then the contact. I mean, when we receive a message, of course, we need to understand which is the account, which is the customer, which is interacting with the platform. So we have this relationship. You say that my mobile number on the WhatsApp channel is just linked with Cavallo & Co, as I was showing before. No? That's pretty easy. Data model. Let me go in detail on the message objects. So we have already seen the fields. Let me show you the actions. Basically, we have 2 actions. One is the process message. So for any incoming message, if I go here on the action builder, say this is triggered for every new message on the platform, and there is a condition. So just process only the inbound message. So every time I send a message, a new message, an inbound message is created. And so this action is triggered. What does this action? This action trigger a client extension. You see, this is the Liferay order this agent client extension. Similarly, we have this other client extension, which is sent via WhatsApp, which is also triggered when a new object is created. But of course, the condition is different. So in this case, we are only triggering this action when the direction is outbound and when the channel is WhatsApp. If we want to implement something similar for Alexa, we can just create a new action and link to the proper client extension and put the right condition into this action. And as you see here, this is the connector in the outbound. We are almost done with the data model. The state manager.
basically we have defined a field on the message object which represent the state of our object. And there are 4 possible states, which is created as soon as new message is created. Either if this is an inbound or outbound, we have created, and then the client extension, for example, process message, just immediately change the status from created to processing. So you see that a message can be moved from created to processing or to error, just in case you cannot really trigger the client extension. And while it's processing, at the end of the processing, basically it can go to the processed state or to the error state. I mean, during my test, I actually created 2 more actions, actually the duplicate for each of them, which were triggered manually. It's just for debugging purposes. Imagine every time I want to test, I don't want to do the entire flow. Send a message, wait for the AI to elaborate, and then prepare a message for the outbound. So I just created some standalone action just for debugging purposes. But for a business reason, these are the only 2 that are required. Something else I want to show before going back to the slides. I mean, the Liferay instance was showing before is actually running on our cloud environment. And here we have the 3 client extensions running. You see the agent, the Alexa connector, and the WhatsApp connector. And for each of these client extensions, you can have its own configuration. For example, you can configure all the API token that you need to send to WhatsApp in order to be able to perform an API call. Last thing I want to show, I want to show actually the code, and before moving to this tab, a little disclaimer, that no human developer was armed to make this demo, and all the code has been written by Gemini AI. But this is the only code I'm gonna show you. This is just the simple the system message that was used with the LLM. It's pretty basic. Just say, you are a commerce assistant, and these are the tools that you can use. So find, see, check out, or add product to the cart. All the client extensions have been implemented using Spring Boot, and this specifically is using LangChain for Java as library to interact with the AI. Okay, so our low-code approach to Omni-Channel basically consists of these 3 elements. So we have used Liferay objects to define the data model and also the business logic. So all the actions that were triggered when certain events occur. And of course, this speed up a lot development effort, development time. And I would like to ask you, but let's say, how long do you think this could take to implement such a solution? Anyone think that it may take like more than 50 days? Raise your hand. No one. Wow, that's very good programmer. More than 30 days. Anyone can do this in 1 week? Less than 1 week? 1 week, I see 1 hand, probably. Yeah, but just this actually took 1 week. I mean, actually 2 as elapsed, but 4 or 5 main days. So I think it's pretty a lot. No? We have integration with Alexa, integration with WhatsApp, with OpenAI. I mean, it's 4 or 5 main days to implement such this. It's something it's really quick from my point of view. But maybe you are smarter than I am and you can develop faster. We also talk about client extension, which is the coupled way that you can implement your own business logic. You can write your own code to run, but this lives outside of the Liferay core with the big benefit that if you need to scale your application because you have thousands of people using the channel, you don't need to scale the entire Liferay instance, but you can just scale the component that is most used. Maybe you have 1 million users using WhatsApp, 100 people using Messenger, you can even scale differently. And all the communication leverage the API headless, the headless API. This actually is a future-proof solution. And keep in mind that in the next release, so in Q4, we will release as beta the MCP server. So I don't want to spoil anything because there is a talk tomorrow at 9:15 by Alejandro Tardin, Petteri Kartunen. If you're interested to know about the MCP server, so you can easily integrate Liferay with AI and switch with the different providers, probably you should better go to this presentation. And if you are not familiar with writing application using low codes, what I can suggest you, or I strongly suggest you, is first of all, look at the learning path that are on learn.liferay.com. I mean, if you didn't know before today, now you should know because Hannah has introduced you to the Learn. First of all, there is the practitioner, which is like the basics where all these concepts are introduced. So you will get an introduction to object, to client extension. But if you really want to master object, client extension, and headless API, and also front-end elements, I strongly suggest you to go through the Liferay application developer learning path. And here are the learning paths that are not strictly related to this demo because, I was no front-end implementation, but there can be useful is the front-end developer learning path, the content manager, and other resources that are useful, the product documentation, the community Slack, and the message board, the how-tos and other course material that you can also find on Learn, and Liferay events, office hours, circle of success, DevCon. Has anyone ever been in DevCon? I guess so. Customer summit, and so on. Of course, what we have seen is a prototype. Prototype is not a production-ready application. It's just little toy, let me say. But how this solution could evolve. We haven't really talked about how to enable customers to use channels. We have seen the data model, which is these contacts, and now to enable my WhatsApp number to my customer account is just an admin task. So I need to go there and put an entry. In the real world, you can imagine that the customer on its own just enter his number, maybe receive an OTP token, and they need to put just to confirm that this number is his number, and he can enable the mobile WhatsApp number to place orders. But probably that's not even enough because you probably need to sign some special terms and conditions, and probably there might be some process management, a business process that need to be run in order to allow you to place orders. And why not? You could implement this business process using Camunda. And in addition to the previous presentation, at 5:25, there is my friend Davide Nikunko will have a presentation about real integration between Liferay and Camunda. If we move on, let's say what we have seen is a reactive use of this messaging channel, meaning that I send a message, Liferay think, and then give me an answer. But you might think about extending this to have some proactive use case, like your item is now back in stock, or your order has been shipped, so that the platform proactively sends you messages. And finally, we have had a focus on commerce, so on the browsing the catalog and placing orders, but you could use the same approach and extend this solution just to cover other use cases. How do I use this ABS sensor? How should I mount this ABS sensor? Or maybe open a ticket. This is broken. Can I open a ticket? Can I ask for a refund? So just extend something that go around pure commerce, but maybe cover also some customer service needs. And I hope you enjoyed. Thank you, everybody. And I want to leave this latest sentence that's basically omni-channel commerce with Liferay and low-code is solved. Thank you.